So let's jump into it. Explanations of benefits. The reason I brought this up is it's really important to know what that is. I don't know, down below you can raise your hand. Showing of hands, how many read their own explanation of benefits before you are an insurance agent? Sam did. Anybody else? I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and the first explanation of benefit I ever did was a client. Yes, Sharon. Are you raising your hand? Question? Or because you didn't look at the explanation of benefits?
I'm raising my hand that I looked at my EOBs.
Okay, so there you go. So Sharon looked at her EOBs. I did not. Sam did, and I know there's a couple others who are. The first one I looked at was my clients who brought it in, and I'm like, oh, what is this? So I'm going to show you. A lot of screen sharing, and I'm not at my home or my normal computer, so my computer and screens are not set up. But all right, so here is what clients get, and you get it. This is a bill, right? Total charges. It just says insurance payment. Here's the lab general $654.80. It's like, okay, insurance payment, nothing, uninsured discount, and you owe $419. That's just a sample one. Here's another one. This is what it looks like when you get it online. Invoice, the date, total amount, full body checkup, and infection check due to inflammation. 1902. So this one, it could look like this. This one is actually a little bit more preventative, electrolyte complete. So this one shows a little bit more, but it still isn't a breakdown. And too many, and I do believe that partly the responsibility goes to us as consumers, not us as agents, but us as consumers, where we have taken that bill, we get it, and we just pay it. And your clients are doing this. They're just paying it. Nobody's looking at what are you actually being charged. I know of a person who did. They always looked at their itemized bills, and they called the hospital and said, you can't charge us for the circumcision of our baby. And they're like, yes, we can't. We always do that. They're like, no, you didn't. Oh, we do. And they're like, it's a girl. We had a girl. You didn't commit a circumcision on our daughter. Oh, but how many people do that, right? They probably in the billing department have a button that says new baby, and they just click it, and it just fills in everything that could be part of a new baby. Warming tray, and the nose thing that squirts, that takes the stuff, the bulb, and and circumcision, and vitamin K, like everything that could have been done. And 99% of people just pay the bill. The insurance doesn't know if you had a girl, right? They're like, yep. And they just and the insurance company isn't looking at either, right? The insurance company gets a bunch of codes and they just pay the bill, or they formulate it and they say, this is your portion, this is ours. And we have been doing this as consumers for so long that now it's standard practice to kind of get billed maybe more than you should have. In the old days, as in 1980, wasn't that long ago, you were responsible for sending your own information and your own bills to the insurance company. So you got the itemized bill, you got to see everything, and then you went, okay, I'm going to hand this to the insurance company. Well, I can tell you were looking at it, right? You were seeing that, and the doctors weren't nickel and diming. And then but not everybody submitted their stuff, and they would take forever. So the hospitals and clinics, out of the goodness of their heart, said, let us send it in for you. Okay. So they're sending it in for us. And then pretty soon we stopped seeing the bill. I don't know if you remember, it was in the 80s. I remember this, where they were complaining about how many people were getting charged for the Kleenex boxes. Right? And they were getting charged for, they started getting billed for every little thing. I even remember my dad. Now, I don't know if you've used those Kleenex boxes in the hospital, but they're horrible. It's like rubbing your nose with bark. My dad's like, well, we're paying for it. Let's just take the whole box. And I'm like, really? And I know he wasn't the only one. I've even had, I had multiple surgeries at the same time that needed the cooler that runs the ice through and puts the whole thing. And I'm like, I just brought my cooler. I'm like, I don't need a new one. And they would go, well, we already have one for you. And I'm like, I don't want one. What am I going to do with 5 of them? I have one. So The itemized bill is going to help for multiple reasons. It's going to help you see what it is, and if you sell ancillary products, you need that itemized bill. But the thing that the insurance companies send is an explanation of benefits. So I'm going to show you an explanation of benefit. I'm going to show you two of them. This is a real simple one. Came from Allied. This was a group explanation of benefit. It's going to have information on there. You know, I took away all the personal things, the address and things like that. So it's going to have the date of service. It's going to have a service code. It's going to have the total charge. So that's the amount that the hospital, clinic, whoever, doctor submitted to the insurance company. It'll say ineligible amount. So that's the discount. Sometimes there is none because this person's actually submitting the right thing. And then if there's an ineligible reason or something, they'll have another code down here. Discounted amount. So there's your discounts. So the bill's $370. They're saying they have to take $100 off because they went in network. All right, covered by the plan, $269.75. This is how much is being applied to the deductible. In this particular case, they have an HSA, so they have to pay the whole part. The co-payment, if they're doing that, the balance amount, and paid at 100% and payment amount. So on the right, where it says payment amount, that is how much the insurance has paid. So that's what that payment amount is. That's the insurance that has been paid out. And then it'll say here code. So service code is description, chiropractic treatment. All right. And then 46, bill has been discounted by your network. So that's where this reason code is. This little EM says inappropriate modifier for this procedure. Now I have no idea what it is, but they basically said they can't charge this person for that. Okay, so they took it off. If you look over here, they're saying, no, you can't, you can't apply that. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get billed for it. And then it says the PPO network that they went to the Cigna, the healthcare discount. So this is a very simple one. Now I'm going to show you a more complicated one. This is the explanation of benefit. Same person, but different days. Total amount billed. So this is how much the insurance company sent, or the doctor, clinics, hospitals sent the insurance, $5,234. The insurance paid $114.75, and the client is responsible for $3,409.77. Most of your clients take that explanation of benefit, don't understand it, maybe don't even open it, and they throw it away. But this is the first place they're going to see if something's wrong. Get your clients, kind of ask them to do that. You can get them online. If they log on to their account, there'll be a place to get this. It's not a secret. They can call the insurance company and ask them to resend it. It goes out to them, usually before they get the bill. Not always, but usually before they get the bill. So again, it's going to say date of service. These are codes 29. If you remember, that's the chiropractor code. As you can see, there's not much going on with this. They're all accepted, 29, 29. There's no issues. Everything's being applied towards deductible for this person. But down here, so the in and out at the bottom here, you'll see ineligible expense. They're basically telling them they cannot charge for that. There's something ineligible. And then you have to come over here and go, why not? This one, service code number 34, office visit, a home visit. So it's explaining what that service code is. So that's what you want to look at. You want to see what the service code is. And then down here will be the decoder explaining what those codes mean. The reason for whatever they've decided over here between total charge, ineligible amount, and then again, another decoder. The doctor's name will be on there. And then this is how much the insurance is paying. So this person has reached their deductible. So now it's kind of kicking it. Balance amount, $53.95. Then this page will talk about how to appeal. Do I need help understanding this denial? Contact Allied. If there's a denial, their first thing they should be doing is contacting the insurance company. If I don't agree with the decision, you have a right to appeal any decision not provided to you or to pay for a service in whole or part. The insurance companies are not looking at the bill that's coming from the carrier, from the doctor, from the hospital, from the clinic. A computer is. It's just a computer code going in and computer code coming out, and the EOB gets sent and it gets sent to the doctor. Asking for an appeal, right here, how do I file it? They will tell them, makes a person look at the bill. Make somebody at the insurance company finally look at what is being sent to them from the doctor, clinic, hospital. And then it can be sometimes overridden, sometimes agreed with, sometimes they go, no, this is accurate. I went in for an annual, my just regular, my pap smear, I was just doing them together. I do ask for 2 labs that are not in the typical thing. So I got a bill. I didn't look at my explanation of benefit. I went, all right, I know I'm going to pay something because I have these 2 extra labs that I asked for. And then I got another bill. I'm like, wait, what's happening here? And I was getting billed for labs from my pap smear. I'm like, that's just normal. I called my insurance company, went, this is not right. This is just an annual. I didn't do anything different. I just did my annual. I didn't ask any extra questions. I didn't say, hey, my foot's hurting as well. Nothing. So the insurance company went through it, looked at it, agreed, went to the hospital and said, you have to resend this. This is, you used the wrong code. You used produce, whatever code that didn't say annual. And it got switched around, it got turned over. So they really need to do this first. And who may file the appeal? You or someone in your name, in writing. You can give, if somebody really needs a lot of help and you want to help, sometimes I do the helping, not just because they need help, but because it helps me learn. And then I can teach other people how to do it. If they really need your help, you can say, let's do this together. Don't take over completely. Do it with them. You can be their authorized person. If you've got documentation, request copies. What happens next? If you appeal, the plan's going to review it. They're going to decide within 60 days. It's usually pretty quick. If the plan continues to deny the payment, coverage, or service requested, or you do not receive a timely decision, you may request an external review of your claim by the independent third party who will review the denial and issue a final decision. So even if your insurance agrees with the original billing, you can still ask for another one. Did you know that? You can ask for 2 appeals. And then after that, then you have to go, okay, yep, however, such a request of an external review is only applicable where the plan's underlying determination involved rescinded of coverage, medical judgment. You have the right to bring a civil action under the URSA following determination. If you're not entitled to an exam review, you can still bring it. I mean, there's things you can do. Now, I'm not saying everybody should run around suing everybody, but you don't have to just take it. And I know a lot of people are starting to take this back, and they should. But even on here, it still doesn't explain a lot, right? It's almost as empty as those bills. So here, I'm going to show you an itemized bill. This is an itemized bill. This is actually for me. I was in the hospital. My bill did not show this, so I asked for an itemized bill. There's the codes. It's got the diagnosis codes. It's got the procedure, and it actually lists every single thing that was done. I mean, here is date January 7th on that first page all the way to here. There's the next one. You know full well I didn't get a bill that looked like that. Then I was there January 8th. This was the itemized bill I got from the anesthesiologist. Like theirs looked totally different. But this is their itemized bill. They're like, all right, here's the dates of service, here's the code, here's the charge. And then they just put it down here. So an itemized bill will actually show every single thing. Now, you might be going, well, what do I need to know all this for? How can I help? And I kind of wanted Sam, because Sam has probably looked at more of them than just about anybody else in the office outside of myself. And now since she's been coming along, I don't look at them anymore. So Sam's got a voice thing, so you guys will have to bear with her. But Sam, why is this important as an agent?
I feel like being able to understand how to read an explanation of benefits and an itemized statement makes me a better agent because I am able to give a little bit more education to my clients. One of the things that somebody actually did say it in the chat with the danger of combining a preventative visit and then you talk about something else or something else happens in that is that it winds up getting coded wrong. 80% of medical bills are wrong because of codes. 80%. I looked up the statistic, it's 80%. That's huge. So I always encourage my clients, request an itemized statement. They legally have to give it to you, and always read your EOBs. And if you can't understand it, I will help go through it. But like I help do a lot of the ancillary submissions. So this is how I've discovered exactly what people are being charged for. And the number one I get is I went in for my preventative and they're charging me for labs. And I say, yes, but if they gave you labs that were not part of the preventative list of labs, you're going to get charged for it. Thyroid is the number one thing I see. Thyroid testing is not on the list of preventatives. And a lot of people get thyroid testing as part of their preventative, but it's not covered. So then they see a charge for it later. So I think that telling people, yep, it's going to be 100% covered, or the copay is only going to be this, that's actually misinformation. I always say the copay is going to start at this. The visit itself will be $50. But if you have blood drawn, if you have them examine something, if you go over a certain amount of time in that meeting, I learned that they bill on certain lengths of time. It's like every 7 minutes they bill you. And then it's, if you're over 20 minutes, this happens, and over, 30 minutes, this happens. The other thing I find interesting is that because of being a brokerage, we get to see everybody's explanation of benefits and everybody's itemized statements. And so I can tell who in our area bills pretty fairly and who doesn't. And I learned from helping somebody earlier this year, or was it last year? I don't remember. But I learned that one of our network providers in the area, who is the number one known for, they will bill you for breathing their air. They charge $3 just for somebody to put a needle in your arm. It has nothing to do with the actual blood draw. It's just somebody putting a needle in your arm. It's $3 charge for that. So I just feel it's really important as an agent, you should know how to read these and be able to explain them, because I get sent a lot of requests from clients. I'm being charged something and I don't know why. Or, my summary benefits said that it would only be $1,000. Why am I being charged $2,000? Last year I worked with a woman, and this is the other thing I tell people too, is you're not legally obligated to pay a copay up front. You're also not legally obligated to pay that bill for the upcoming surgery. There are a lot of places that practice billing ahead of time. You're not legally obligated to do that. And my suggestion is never do that. I don't care if the copay is $5 or $500. Don't, because they are then not submitting it first and foremost to your carrier to get negotiated down. My favorite example is I had a woman last year, husband went in for an MRI, and on that plan, the MRI was $1,000 copay. So when they got to the front desk, they were like, oh, it says here on your plan, you need $1,000 copay. They paid up front for it. Then a month later, they got their explanation of benefits. The insurance company negotiated it down to $368, and I still don't know to this day if she ever got her $600 something back. And I said, this is that lesson learned, because something, however they coded it, however they sent it, maybe the MRI didn't take as long, maybe they didn't need to use a certain dye, I don't know. However it got coded and sent to the insurance company looked at it and went, this isn't $1,000. This is only a $368 charge. So I always tell people it can wind up getting negotiated down. I just was last week working with a guy who he thought he was being overcharged, and his specialist copay is $55. He was actually getting charged $25 instead of $55. I'm like, they're actually charging you less than what your summary of benefits is. So we don't know exactly how they decide to charge. But the other thing that I have found really helpful being able to look at these things is knowing the difference between a CPT code and a diagnostic code. And those are so easy to look up. And I don't think people realize that all you have to do is Google it. You type in the number and you type CPT code, and it will bring up for you what that code is and what it means. They change all the time. They change yearly. And I feel like they're developing new ones every step of the way. But like Chris said before, some places they're going to charge you for the box of Kleenex that you use. They're going to charge you for a circumcision that didn't happen. But then I've also worked with providers that if their bill or if their plan says it's a copay, they're only paying the copay. And that's nice to see too. So it's easier to guide my clients when they come in to go, okay, this is what the plan says, and this is what you may also wind up in. So they're much less surprised when they get that bill.
So somebody asked, what does CPT stand for? It's current procedural terminology, or CPT. Obviously, they're not going to put that on all the time, but the medical CPT code is critical to the reports. That's what they use. In fact, if you see those, hey, you can work from home entering CPT codes, that's typically what they're talking about in billing codes. The reason explanations of benefits are 80% wrong is because a person is putting them in, and we make mistakes. I mean, it just is. Unlike the computer system that's reading it, the computer system isn't reading it incorrectly. The person pushed that button for circumcision. But the codes, the person who's entering the codes, I mean, there's a difference between one digit. All they do is typo. I mean, this is a data entry job. They got their hand on the 10 keypad and they're just going 4872, 48923. All they do is one code different, and it's a completely different charge. So having somebody look at their itemized bill, but I mean, at minimum, looking at their explanation of benefits, and then they can see something they're like, wait, what? I mean, I had a client who ended up in the ER and ended up spending the day, and then she got her bill for an MRI. And she said, I did not have an MRI. And they're like, you didn't know, you came in on a, the ambulance. She's like, I didn't have an MRI. And she was fighting with the billing department. I didn't have an MRI. So she follows up with her doctor, and she says, Doc, can you do something? I'm getting billed for this MRI. I did not have it. He goes, well, sure you did. It says it right here. You got billed. She goes, all right, pull up the MRI results. So he's like, can I see the MRI results? Yeah, there was no MRI. I mean, and she had to fight for that. So, and then, this is the same company she was talking about that likes to do lots of billing. And some of their billing practices are unethical, not necessarily illegal. When the Affordable Care Act came out, I don't know if this still happens, but I know in Minnesota, because I saw the article, your preventative is your mammogram is free. There was at least one insurance company, if not two, in Minnesota that was charging people for the facility fee and the nursing fee, and basically the gloves to put the boob in the smash machine. But the mammogram was free. And so it's like, what? Come on. So the more we as consumers are more aware of this, the less they're going to get away with this. They need to be upfront. And I don't know if you guys know this, but America is the only country in the world that charges a facility fee for surgery. Call Britain, call Denmark, call any other country and say, how much is it going to cost for such and such surgery? They will tell you, whatever it is, $1,000, 300, 5,000. And then you say, what is the billing fee for the facility? And they go, what? No, it's 5,000. I just told you it's 5,000. America bills for the room.
Hi, I just want to say something. Thank you so much for presenting this, because it's really important that we understand this. However, it is really complicated that I suggest everyone, if you do your provider marketing, if you ever do that, and usually we look for the billing people, try to make friends with them. It's going to be a huge help. But I just want to say something, because my field, before I became an agent, I was at the revenue cycle. So everything that you're talking about, you're showing a bill, and there's a difference. If it's a bill from a doctor, it's a 1,500, which you showed earlier. And you showed a bill from the hospital, it's a UBO4. The data sets are different. And you will notice that the places of services, whether it's done in an ambulatory surgery or in a hospital surgery, they got different pricing. So it's good to tell that to your clients, that the pricing would be different. But one of the things why it's important to be knowledgeable about this, your clients will really respect you and they won't leave you. They will always remember that you understood how it works, financial. And if you understand clinical, they're really going to stick with you, and you will get a lot of referrals.
When you call the billing people, don't accuse them of unethical billing practices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They're not doing it. Aurora is, but it's Aurora, the company. That's our for people that we're dealing with. But that's the top down. It's got nothing to do with the billing person. They're just doing as they're told. I have called the billing department with clients, partly because the client doesn't necessarily know what to say. And it's like, please re-look at this. The code is wrong. Oh, okay. You know, and you're right. Learn to, if you can, especially if you can find a billing person and that you just give them a gift. It's a hard job. I would not want to be a billing person, but if you have a local company, a hospital, and you can find out, get the same person who's been there for, you know, 5, 6 years, they're probably going to stick around. Send them a just appreciate your hard work. You would be surprised how far a gift can go. It happens. The billing person isn't doing it on purpose. So, but teach your clients to look. And that's why I don't want you to do it for them. You're not teaching them, you're not helping them, you're kind of enabling them. As soon as somebody is asking your help, help them with them. Do it together, because then they don't have to come back and ask you every single time. You're giving them the power to do it themselves. Now, I'm a big advocate for layering, for protecting your clients from the Affordable Care Act, short-term policies, indemnity plans, those max out of pockets. You do need to know what these itemized bills look like to help submit the claims. So you can help them the first time, you show them what it's doing, and then you can submit it. That's one of the reasons why we've looked at them so much. Now I have my own indemnity plan. I have a gap policy with Philadelphia, and I got to show the itemized bill. If you've got Manhattan, some of these, they need the itemized bill, and they need an itemized bill with diagnosis codes, which is a different thing sometimes you have to ask. The more educated you are, the more you educate your clients, and you will not lose them. I mean, you want to know retention? Helping somebody understand it, even if you're telling them, I think I mentioned this before in a previous one, I have a person who went in for her annual and she's getting charged the whole annual, and she's furious. She's absolutely furious with the insurance company. And turned out it was because the doctor asked her about her mental health. Well, that, believe it or not, is not part of your annual. So she responded, you know, he said, what's your mental health on a scale of 1 to whatever? And then spent, you know, a couple minutes telling her, you know, I think you might be depressed. You should probably talk to someone, blah, 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 blah. That makes the entire visit now not an annual. Now it's not free, which means the labs were no longer free. Now, I have so much frustration with that. That bothers me so much. Same with the, you know, people know this from colonoscopies. Their colonoscopy is free, sir, until they find something. You're unconscious, you can't agree to anything, and now your free preventative is now a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 bill, depending on your plan. And you were unconscious when it happened. Wait, because they found a polyp and they're sending it to the lab? Why does the entire procedure become diagnostic? It shouldn't be. The lab, I get it. All right, charge me for the lab, but the procedure isn't suddenly. The whole point of the reason I'm there is for preventative. So these are some of the changes that legislative are coming up. And remember, CMS keeps getting smaller and smaller as far as personnel, and they keep getting more and more problems. We are trying to do some of this, but I know you guys all know the agent stealing issue, right? We all know about the agents, you know, and unethical, blah, blah, blah. Agents have been talking about it for 2 years. Do you know when CMS took notice? When people, not agents, when the clients start getting upset, when there was an article. If you guys remember that first article came out, suddenly it was a hot topic. And we're like, we've been telling you this for 2 years. Then another article came out and suddenly it is hot topic. So if we can get consumers, not agents, consumers to start paying attention to this, start constantly advocating for their own health benefits, there can be some changes. So that's why I wanted you to see what an itemized bill looks like, what an explanation of benefit is. You know, some of this is 101, but, you know, take the time, start looking at your own. Call the last time you were there. It doesn't matter how long ago you were at the doctor's or the clinic or hospital. Ask them to send you an itemized bill. And just the billing, sometimes somebody goes in for surgery and they had, just a sec, Rosalind, they went in for surgery and they got the bill for a doctor visit that was after the surgery. And they're like, wait, what's happening? You know, I know my surgery is going to mean I reach my max out of pocket. I'm like, no, pay that bill. It'll apply. Your insurance company and the doctor are actually still negotiating. They're still negotiating the price. So don't necessarily panic, don't pay. And I found out last year, so in my area, we have a insurance with a $0 deductible, the bronze plans that are very popular. It's a $200 copay. That's what it was last year, $200 copay to see a specialist. The client, she sees a specialist about twice a month. She didn't have her purse one time. Said, I forgot my purse. And they're like, okay, no problem. You know what her bill was? Wasn't 200. It was the $25 regular doctor copay. And she went, wow, that was cheaper. She never had her purse with her after that. Every copay for her specialist was billed at $25. So as Sam said, nobody's legally obligated to pay those copays if they have insurance. Now, if you're gonna have surgery and you're trying to pay cash, yeah, they're not gonna give you surgery without paying it. But if you have insurance, they tell your client you do not have to pay that. Wait until the bill comes. You tell them, yep, I have insurance. Send it to my insurance and I will pay after I receive my explanation of benefits. So Rosalind, what's your question?
So a couple questions, just because my clients on the Medicare side have thrown me under the bus more than once. So I'm very careful of telling clients certain things that may fall back on me as, well, my broker said this. And I'm also worried about complaints, E&O stuff. So what do we do? Because I'm very big on CYA. I do a lot of stuff in writing now. I do a lot of like, okay, I said this, because even some of my ACA clients were like, well, you said this. And I will literally go back and say, look at the email where I said this. So how do we do it where, because it's got to be a nice fine balance where we're educating our clients, but they're not going to come back and say, well, you told me this. And then they get mad at us, because that has happened to me more than once.
Correct. And unfortunately, it's going to. I mean, there's no way to get rid of it completely. One is always keep every email. Every single email I've ever sent, I have. I put it in my delete folder and I don't delete those because of that. I've had people, hey, you said this, or you told me this, or you blah, blah, blah. And I will go, crap, did I? And I'll pull up the email. Keep good notes. Make sure your note is timestamped when you have an appointment. The other one is, especially when it's your routine, right? We all have a system of our routine introduction to Medicare, ACA, how the marketplace works, tax credits. If you always do the same thing, and that can kind of be shown, that will also help. It's when you kind of go off script sometimes. People are going to hear what they're going to hear. That's the sad part. People are going to hear something. In fact, my brother had an issue with somebody who used to be in a CSR 2 years ago. So in 2022 was in a CSR. And Josh pops it on. Then they got moved to a bronze plan in 2023 because their income went up. They had a $0 deductible bronze plan. Nothing wrong with it. 2024, they came back in what, I don't know, January or February going, you promised us. You told us. And it was like, no, I didn't. Well, they don't have any proof either, right? So he brought him in and we talked and he's like, wait a minute, you were on that other plan for a whole year. So the more you just document your own self, the better you're going to be. I mean, we can't 100% do it. One, though, is be able to admit when you're wrong. I recently just did something really stupid with a small business. I put them in the wrong plan. The guy who makes the decision doesn't have an in-network doctor where he lives. Yeah, that was all me. I put him in the wrong one. So I called the insurance company and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat some humble pie. I'm going to tell them it's my fault. You've got to pay for your annual. This is the solution. And I think I was like, he could be furious and he may go somewhere else. It wasn't intentional. And he wasn't. He's like, all right, I'm glad we caught it now. Let's get this fixed. And, and as long as I took away his pain point, I got fixed, that's some of it. Document and paperwork. So I know on my Medicare side, my mom who used to do Medicare would have people say, you never showed me blah, blah, blah. And she'd go, pull out that piece of paper. Pull out that piece of paper I gave you. See right there? Because I always know I say this, so if you have a routine and you're handing them the documentation, that's why we sent out, and I've shown this before, we call it the marketplace document. Here's your application number. This is your family. This is how much income we put. This is how much the tax credit is. This is what it's going to cost you. And here's the thing. If they're in our office, they sign it. So just document. The EOB thing, that's the other reason in the itemized bills and the copays is you want to do it with them. So they actually see what you're doing. They kind of get to look behind the curtain. So Sharon, you asked, if you refuse to pay the copay or deductible up front, can they refuse service at either the doctor or the hospital? No, they can't. And they do this in the ER. I love it. You're in the ER. This happened to me a couple times. I was in the ER. My kid was in the ER. A lovely person shows up with a clipboard and goes, looks like you have a, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I'm in the ER. I do not have my purse. You can send that to my insurance company. And they will go, okay. Now they might pressure you a little, but are you sure we can put this on a credit card? No. Here's my insurance card. You can send it to them. They can't refuse service. They would like to. I don't have my purse, Again, cash is different. No, not ERs. They cannot refuse service at an ER. But if you show up at the doctor for surgery and you're and you've told them I'm a cash only patient, yeah, they're going to say, I need a down payment. We need to know that we're going to at least get some of our money back from you. Okay, that's fair. In fact, I have an article that I'm going to read as soon as I hang up from this that says, why are cash rates cheaper than insurance rates? So there is, it's because they get the money up front. Sharon, if the doctor asks you, so there's any other issues you want to discuss during your preventative, say no. Say, I'm going to make another appointment. In fact, if you know, and I tell clients, if you know you want to talk to your doctor about something else, make back-to-back appointments. This is my annual appointment. All right, doc. Looks like we have another appointment. Yep. I want to make sure this one's done. You're going to bill my annual as my annual. Or no, I just have some questions. It's bizarre. The intention of things and what is actually done doesn't always match. The intention of the Affordable Care Act being passed was that you could have a one visit with your doctor that wouldn't cost you anything. That should be the time I can ask them about my foot that's sore. And by the way, I get this little acid reflux thing happening, right? I mean, that really should be, that was the intention. And then the insurance companies find ways to bill around it. Or not insurance companies, the hospital systems, the doctors. The insurance companies are just following the rules and paying a bill. They have been told in very black and white what is preventative and what is not. So they can't just say, well, yeah, this was at your preventative. We're just going to waive the whole thing. I mean, I guess they could. They're probably not gonna. We have two insurance companies in my state of Wisconsin that actually will waive any bills for a colonoscopy if it's your first colonoscopy and you've never had a polyp before. So they've said that they took that on themselves because they want people to go get their colonoscopies and not be so afraid. So, again, intention and reality, different. We have one carrier or one hospital that charges a flat fee for the lab. And then we have another one that charges for the needle prick. For every single draw, there's a bill. And that's technically legal. And they didn't do it at the beginning. They found a way to bill more. So again, be cautious. This is the other reason why I like to see this stuff. I like to see those bills. Then I can prepare people. Sam's the first one who saw the itemized bill from Aurora that showed the stick and a copay for every draw. So if somebody went in and gets five lab draws, even though the lab says it's a $50 copay, they got charged $50 per draw. And the insurance company said, yep, that's how they can bill it. And then we have another insurance company or another hospital system who doesn't. They just go, okay, it's $50. So the more you learn from this, the more you can educate your client. The change isn't going to happen from agents as much as NABIB, aka NAHU, and all those people. The change is going to happen if consumers as a whole say, got my mouse, as consumers as a whole start going, hello, excuse me, and start talking to their congresspeople. And honestly, right now, health insurance is a huge thing. I mean, if you really have somebody, you have a client who seems really passionate about them, get them to talk to their congresspeople because it's a hot topic in all states and up at from the top down. Now, granted, they keep looking at Medicare and I keep going, what about the rest of us? But, advocate for your clients who want to do that. Say, you know what, make an appointment. it does depend on your insurance or your doctors. It's not so much the insurance. Remember, I keep trying to tell, I'm a huge advocate for the insurance companies. Yes, some companies are better than others. But your doctor is the ones who are sending the bills. The insurance is just paying the bills. So, you know, don't throw your insurance company under the bus. There's only so much they can do. I don't necessarily throw the doctor under the bus. You know, doctors just writing notes and putting things on a chart. You know, the billing person, you don't have to throw them. You can say the corporation. We need to have the corporation make changes. I know a hospital that if a person is going to have surgery, they will tell them if you pay $500, we will advise the insurance company that you have satisfied your $1,500 deductible. That's awesome. Get it in writing. Tell your client that's excellent. Get it in writing. Because then if they come back with a $1,500 bill, they can take that to the hospital. If your client, I had somebody who was looking for foot surgery. How much does this foot surgery cost? The surgery is going to cost you $20,000. They were like, done, sold. And then they got a bill for 40 because the surgery was 20. Not the anesthesiologist, not the room, not the nurse, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what they had in writing? That the surgery was gonna, that the surgery procedure was gonna cost 20,000. So they got to take it back. This was a cash thing with some short term, but get it in writing. I love that. Several of the doctors in Florida have noticed at the receptionist desk stating the copayment must be made prior to service. Yep, they can say that. The receptionist is told that. And you can say, sorry, I don't have my purse, send me the bill. So they can say that, you know, they cannot reject you from an ER at all. I mean, that's kind of a Fed thing, state thing. They can't say, sorry, you can't walk in here. But copays, send that to my insurance company. I don't have my purse.
Even if it's the right amount, like even if they know it's $25, they just don't pay it anyway. Just good practice not to pay it.
Yeah. And you'll probably get the bill for 25. You know, it's right there on your card. It's 25.
Yeah.
I mean,
When we were down at the office at one of our insurance companies, we talked to one of the people that worked there, and she was also a nurse at one of our hospitals that were around here. She specifically told us, she goes, tell them no, let them run it through the insurance company first. And we started asking a lot of questions, and she goes, guys, they're just told that by the hospital. Now this is ours, and you know, in our little area. And she goes, nope, they are told over and over and over again, hey, get that copay, get that copay, get that copay. And what happens if you go, I don't know, run it through my insurance? She goes, oh, they run it through the insurance and they just send you the bill. Could be $25, but great, I'll pay $25 in a couple weeks.
And it probably
Joshua,
will.
Joshua, to keep it short, the way that they should ask it, just tell them this. Please send me the bill. They know what to do because it's going to run through the insurance. But those are to keep it short. If you say, oh, just please send me the bill, they will, because it'll just go through the insurance and send them the bill. Hey, you know, they're making me pay this. So the way you act is like, oh, can I see your bill? And the way you tell them, could you ask them about this and ask them what to ask? Like you're also asking. But if you are stating it, now they're going to come back and say, you told me this. So I don't know, that's how I do it. Like I also help them, like I'm trying to solve the mystery with them instead of I know what to do. So.
And I also tell people experiences. My client did this, and I've had people go, ooh, awesome, right? So Rosalind, last time, so each provider chooses how they want to bill, and that some of the gray areas, ethical, it's not illegal, correct. I don't think it's ethical to bill for every single draw. They know the intention of the insurance company that there's a $50 copay for labs. You know how I know this? Because they do it for Medicare. Medicare copay lab is one copay, but those rules have been locked down and stuff. So they do know, but they also go, but this is what I can do. So copays, you can do it up front. You absolutely can, but I mean, so here's a reason not to pay that $1,000 copay for an MRI. How is it possible that it's going to be reduced? Not everybody who's getting that MRI has $1,000 to pay up front. So then they get the $1,000 bill, they can call and say, I'd like to set up a payment plan. So then they can pay their $20 a month, right? As opposed to coming up with $1,000 before they have their MRI. So, you know, especially if it's a large bill, a copay, you know, $20 here, $30, even 100 isn't as big of a deal as the larger ones. If they can wait till they get that bill, then they can go on a payment plan. And if they can just pay it off, awesome. They can just pay it off. So thank you very much. We're at the top of the hour. Hope to see you next week.